Hello, my name is Elizabeth Bing, and I'm doing a presentation called The Nanny Diaries for one of my learning technology classes. I have been doing nannying and childcare roughly for around 7 years now, and this presentation is just talking about what parents look for, as well as what you should have to become a childcare specialist. Alright, so first thing, what is the difference between a nanny and a babysitter? Any guesses?
A nanny's like live in and cost a lot more. And babysitters are like hourly pay and they're normally by references.
Close. Yes and no. Anything else?
A nanny does more than just babysitter. It's a lot.
I was gonna say clean the house too, so.
Alright, so what I put for is that for a nanny, at least for a part-time nanny, you have more regular appearances that are normally scheduled. Whenever I was a after-school nanny, I would meet with the family every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 6:30. I would do some light housework as well as, helping the kids with their homework and projects to make sure that whenever the parents came home, they didn't have to do anything really. And usually you get paid at the end, and it also, you schedule and you negotiate what the price is for pay. So let's say that instead of charging what you normally charge at say 15-hour babysitting, you would kind of negotiate the price more since you would be with the family every single day. For babysitting, it's usually an hourly pay, and you probably stay on average for me between 3 and 6 hours. It's also for special occasions, so like let's say parents want to go out for date night or someone has to work late or something like that. And then also responsibilities mostly just include keeping the kid alive as well as making sure that they have their scheduled bedtime and make sure that they eat and just watch them play. So the perks of being a nanny: your job is fun, usually. There have been some times where it wasn't as fun day, but for the most part, really all I do is play board games with the kids and play hide and go seek and fun stuff like that. The money's not taxable, so whatever, like let's say I get paid $60 at the end of the night, I get paid $60, no taxes taken out of it. Or whenever I was nannying, on average I made about $150. That's just my money, no taxes were taken out of it from the government. And then with the flexible hours, you make your own schedule unless you have a scheduled nanny position. So if you're scheduled to be there from Monday through Friday, that's when you're supposed to be there. As for babysitting, I get to accept or deny any client that comes my way. And then there is a growing need for babysitters anyways, because childcare and just daycares in general are very expensive, and not a lot of people can afford it, as well as most parents don't want to leave their kids at school after school has ended and they have to be there until 6 o'clock. Because then you have to bring them home, you still have to feed them, you still have to get them ready for the next day, and you still have to get their homework and projects done. Alright, so for my project I interviewed 5 moms who have various lifestyles. For the first mom I interviewed, she has 2 kids, a boy and a girl, 4 and 5, and the parents work extremely long hours, and some days they have to stay very late, so they would call me on like a random Tuesday and be like, I need you to stay, you should come over and watch the kids so I can go finish work. For the next kid, there's 2 kids, both girls, 1 and 4, and both parents work long hours. They stay in daycare from about 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. For mom 3, there's 2 kids, a boy and a girl, 10 and 6, and they stay at home mom, but she is more of a stay at home mom, and she is just stay at home. Like she doesn't have any outside jobs or anything. And then you have mom 4 with 2 kids, 10 and 6, she's a stay at home mom, but she's active. So she normally has to go out and do organization activities, or she goes out on date night and stuff like that. And then mom 5 is 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy, and both parents work long hours. But the dad now stays at home whenever the kids get off school. So, alright, what age should the nanny or babysitter be? Most parents that I interviewed, they said they want them to be over the age of 19. because that's when they finish high school and they're a little bit more mature. There were a few that said that 17 or 18, as long as they had a license. And one of them said 15 or 16 if the kid is mature enough, and usually with that one, it comes with more, I know the parents, and I know how the babysitter acts, so. For gender, moms 1, 3, and 4 said it does not matter. Any reasons why you think it wouldn't matter?
That the nanny is a man or a lady?
Hmm?
Why it wouldn't matter?
Why wouldn't it matter?
If you have boys and girls.
Correct. For those moms, for moms 1, 3, and 4, the kids are, number 1, a little older. Well, for moms 3 and 4, the kids are a little bit older. And then for mom 1, the kids are close in age. So for them, it didn't matter what gender that the babysitter was, as long as they were able to trust whoever the person was. For moms 2 and 5, they would only hire a female because number 2, I think, is the one that has, she got 2 girls, 1 and 4, and mom number 5 had 3 girls and 1 boy. And the boy was the oldest one, so he's normally off by himself doing his own separate thing unless we're playing a board game together. So, and they wanted someone who was able to, I guess, interact with the girls more because they are at a growing age and they are, I guess, trying to find more role models that aren't just mom and dad. All right, do you need a higher education? How many people think that you need to pursue a college degree in order to be a babysitter? Or that people would prefer you have a college degree to be a babysitter? How many people think it doesn't really matter? 3 out of 5 said that they should either be in school or working to pay for school. Major does not matter. And basically what that means is they didn't really care if the babysitter was in school, as long as they were doing something with their lives, as well as they were just being productive and not just, staying at home doing nothing, just waiting for a call. 2 out of 5 said it doesn't matter if they are in school or work. So, all right, qualifications. Number 1 is has worked with kids before. That's very important because it shows how you interact with kids on various age groups. Number 2 is 3 out of 5 preferred CPR and first aid certification. They would like you to have a driver's license because some parents need you to go and pick up kids from school or take them to go to piano practice, soccer practice, or any sort of extracurricular activities, as well as most parents don't like it if you are staying over until, let's say, midnight, and as soon as the parents get home and check on the kids, they now have to pick you up and go drop you off at wherever you have to go. Specific needs. If the family that you're working for has a child with disabilities, or if they need you to learn a foreign language. For one of the parents that I had to work for, they wanted me to teach the kids some of the basics of Spanish because they are more of a Hispanic, they're Hispanic and their kids don't know any Spanish. And then for the other one, disabilities, some of the ones that I've worked with was autism, Down syndrome, and multiple sclerosis, I think, and they were wheelchair bound. All right, where do parents look? 5 out of 5 said that they go based off of referrals from other parents. And then in last case scenarios, they would go on online resources like care.com, if it's the last resort. How I got all my clients was either I was in the neighborhood and they're like very close around my neighborhood and they needed someone just across the street that would come over and watch the kids real quickly. Or I got a lot of my clients from being here at the church because I work in the nursery in the back. So the parents would come back and say, hey, do you babysit? And I'll be like, yes, I do. So we exchange information and I would go over and babysit them just because they know how I interact with their kids on a weekly basis. All right, what to do with the kids. So here are some ideas that I usually do with them. We usually play outside, and that depends on what time it is outside because the Texas sun is hot and I'm not trying to sweat all that much. We have cooking classes, so we'll do like some fun. One of the things that I did was dirt and worms, so we did chocolate pudding with Oreos and the little gummy worms with the kids, and I also bake cookies with them. We do a lot of board games with the kids that I do if they're older. We do Monopoly and stuff like that. My younger kids more so like Candyland. And I limit electronic and TV just because I feel like if I'm there and the parents are paying me to interact with the kids, I don't want them to just be on their electronic devices. I feel like they should have as much fun with me as their parents are, or having more fun than what their parents are doing outside of the home. And then I help with homework or projects. This one's mostly for nannies. So like whenever I would go over and they had a huge project to do, I would help them set everything up, and I would, give them ideas and we'd work on it together, and then I would keep the parents updated on what all we would do. That way, whenever the parents got home from work, they wouldn't have to worry about if they had worked on their project or if it was done or not. How to discipline the kids. What I do normally is I will either send them to their room for a required period of time. What I also do is I take away the electronics, and for maybe the first offense, what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll talk to them and describe why what they did was bad and why I didn't like it. After that, I'll take away the electronics for maybe, if they're older, about 30 minutes to an hour. If they're
How do you
younger,
determine the time for timeout and electronics takeaway? How do you determine that?
I do it based off of age. 4 years old, 4 minutes, 5 years old, 5 minutes, and keep that up until about until about the age of 6. Just because to a little kid, 5 minutes seems like forever, as well as to a 3-year-old, it seems like forever. Now that doesn't really take much effect when you have older kids who are like, 7, 8, all the way up to 13. It doesn't really matter. So with them, I might take it away for maybe 30 minutes or so. One out of the 5 moms that I interviewed said that I could spank them on the hand, which I rarely ever do, and even then the mom and I talk about it before I do anything, after I do everything, and why I did it. And I make sure that the kid understands why I did it and what he did was wrong. I notify the parents, but I like to kind of pick and choose what I notify the parents about, because I also want to build up a trust with the kids. If the kids know that what they did was wrong and they understand that what they did was wrong, and they've already been punished and they've learned their lesson, I feel like I don't have to tell the parents just because the situation has already been taken care of. And I want to build up a trust with the kids. That way, whenever they do need a babysitter, the kids would be like, oh, I want to hire Miss Lizzie. So, and if I don't do that, then the kids aren't going to want me to come over and be with them.
You're a tattletale.
Yeah, I'm a tattletale. I don't want to be a tattletale. All right, nighttime routine. This one mostly applies to my little kids. So between the ages of 5 and under, maybe. 3 out of 5 said that they are already bathed, so I don't have to worry about that. All I have to do is do dinner before and then maybe playtime a little bit and then kind of wind them down. 2 to 5 said they'll just bathe in the morning. Story time, usually with any of the families that I work with, no matter what age, I do sort of a group story and we all read books together. Or with my older kids, what we do is a little game where they'll come up with the scenario. So let's say, I'll say one kid and he'll be like, all right, I want it done in outer space. And I pick the other kid and he's like, all right, I want the characters to be pigs. And they'll, like the other kid will pick a problem or something that the pigs have to go through or something, just so it's more interactive and fun for everybody. With my little kids, I'll usually have one of them pick one book each, and then I'll read both books. And then also I make sure that we clean up the toys or any of the games that we played with, just because I don't want the parents to come home to a messy house. All right, how much do the families pay? It depends on the age. The older that the kids are, it kind of depends on the pages because they're able to take care of themselves more. I don't have to, bathe them, and I don't have to change diapers with them. They're self-sufficient. I'm really just there to make sure that no one gets hurt. And it just so happens that I play board games with them as well.
So you charge less for older kids?
What all did you do? For my nanny job, since I would cook dinner and I, load up the dishwasher and I help with projects, I would get paid a little bit more had I not done all those things. Usually it's between 8 to 15 an hour for 3 to 6 hours. So it roughly comes out to about $24 to $90 per session that I'm working with. And that's only just for babysitting. For nannying, I nannied for 3 hours Monday through Friday, and my weekly paycheck was $150 for my older kids. So it's a nice way to just like, if you need some pocket money, it's a nice way to, you know, just to get some change in your pocket, basically. What makes families want to hire you again? Availability, just because if you're not available and you are busy all the time, they're not gonna call you as much just because you're kind of a waste of time to call because you're always busy. Cost effective, because there's no point in paying for a nanny if you're gonna cost as much as putting all kids in a daycare or an after school program. So you have to kind of be flexible and work on the cost and make sure that your costs are under what the businesses would charge. If the kids like you, that's a big thing. Usually whenever I walk in the door and the kids see me, I usually get a very happy reaction with the kids, just because they like me, they trust me, and they know that, you know, I'm not going to tell the parents every little bad thing that they do. So, and also whenever I am with them, I make sure that we do stuff that's fun for all the kids. And bonus is if I load up the dishwasher, let's say we had a cooking class, I'll load up the dishwasher, wash the dishes, and we'll straighten up the play area just so it's not in a complete wreck whenever the parents come home. Alright, that is the end of my presentation. Now if you will look at your handouts that I gave y'all, one of the things on there is CPR. So, this is Baby Timmy. He's gonna be my dummy for the demonstration. So basically, let's go ahead and say that this child, small, but let's say this child is roughly around 5. So imagine if the kid was 5. If the child, you have to perform CPR on the child, the first step that you always have to do is make sure that the child is breathing. So what you do is you're supposed to tilt the neck up, and you can either put your ear down to the mouth and see if he's breathing, or you can watch the chest rise and fall. If that's not the case, then what you need to do is you need to either point to someone, if there's some people in the area, or people in the room with you, you need to point to someone and say, you go get help, just so they have a designated job and you can't just designate to everyone. After that, what you would do is you would check and see if the kid is breathing. Then you would open the shirt, and for a child, you would get the palm of your hand and you put it right here into the chest, right under the diaphragm right here. And you would get in your chest and you would do 30 counts of to the beat of ah, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Ah, 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 staying alive, staying alive. And you would do that for around 30 counts, and then after that, you would breathe into the baby's mouth, and then you would, of course, keep the ambulance and the paramedics updated. And you would do that until the paramedics were to come in and help the child itself. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm really glad y'all all could come and make it, and I hope that y'all learned a little bit of what parents look for in babysitting, as well as what you yourself, if you want to become a nanny or babysitter, should have prepared if you were to go down that avenue. Thank you.